Welcome. My name is Peter Strong. I'm a professional psychotherapist and I specialize in online therapy that I offer via Skype. So if you like the idea of talking to a therapist online rather than in person, if you like the greater convenience and also the greater privacy offered by online therapy, then do please reach out to me by email. If you're looking for psychological help with anxiety or depression or addiction or other emotional problems that benefit from psychotherapy, and you like the idea of learning how to work with your emotions more effectively without resorting to medications, then please contact me and let's schedule a trial Skype therapy session. Most of my clients really prefer online therapy to meeting a therapist in person. It's just so much more convenient, and it's more comfortable too for you. You can conduct your therapy sessions from the comfort of your home or place of work, if you can find a quiet place at work to conduct your sessions. I often work with people in their cars. They will have their therapy session in their car. It's convenient. It's something you can easily schedule into your busy schedule. The other advantage is that it's generally much more effective when working with anxiety conditions. And for people suffering from agoraphobia, online therapy is quite essential. So the style of psychotherapy that I teach online is called Mindfulness Therapy. And this is a system of psychotherapy that I developed some years ago now, and that uses a lot of mindfulness and Buddhist teachings as a way of learning how to better manage our emotions and our thoughts and so on. So the biggest problem that I come across when working with people suffering from anxiety or depression or addiction or OCD is this problem whereby you become identified with the emotions or thoughts or beliefs or memories in the mind. This process of reactive identification, as I call it, is really at the center of emotional suffering, whether it's anxiety or depression. So all emotions are basically habits that get started in the mind, often in childhood. So an emotion like anxiety or depression or shame or low self-esteem, these get started in childhood. This is well known. The child is not able to process these emotions, so they tend to get stuck and they grow, and then we develop layers and layers of identification around these emotions, these core emotions, as we call them. So in mindfulness therapy, we spend a lot of time really developing a different kind of relationship with these emotions, so that instead of just identifying with your anxiety or fear or guilt or shame or depression, we learn to see those emotions as objects in the mind. We develop what is called objective consciousness. And this is quite different than the subjective consciousness that occurs when you become identified with your emotions. So it's quite different being able to see the emotions and thoughts that support those emotions as objects. The analogy we often use here is it's like learning how to keep your balance on the bank of a river. If you can maintain balance looking at the river, then the river has no power at all to hurt you. The problem comes about when we lose balance, and when we fall into the river, then we suffer. And it's the same with our emotions, our thoughts, our memories, even traumatic memories. The problem is not so much in the mind itself, it's in our identification with these mental objects, the way that we just fall into our emotions and we become prisoners of those emotions. We become controlled by our anxiety or depression or addiction. So breaking free from this reactive identification is a vital process in any form of psychotherapy, and it's the very first thing that we focus on in mindfulness therapy. So we learn to develop balance in relationship to our emotions. We then learn how to respond to our emotions in a way that helps them heal. So we are focused very much on healing those core emotions. And that happens when we establish a non-reactive, objective relationship with those emotions. If we keep reacting to the emotions, they simply grow and proliferate and create more reactivity, and that stops the core emotions from healing. So reactivity in general is a problem. With mindfulness therapy, we look very carefully to see any kind of reactivity that's going on in the mind, and especially the reactions to those core emotions. So the way that your anxiety takes form in the mind, the way it takes form in thoughts, for example. So in mindfulness therapy, we understand that emotion precedes thoughts. It's not the other way around. If you are depressed, you will start generating depressed thoughts. If you are suffering from anxiety, you will start generating anxiety-based thoughts. If you're suffering from chronic anger, you will start generating angry thoughts. So these reactions, these thought reactions, are products of the emotion. They're not the cause of the emotion. They're products. But they do have a very powerful feedback mechanism whereby they reinforce the underlying emotion and they stop it from healing. So when we bring objective consciousness or mindfulness to bear on thoughts, then we are able to essentially break free from the habit of reacting. So we can break the habit of reactive thinking that feeds the anxiety or depression. So that's the second step, if you like, of mindfulness therapy, is looking for all of these reactive thoughts that have become so habitual and breaking free from their influence by developing more objective consciousness, more mindfulness. So that's an important part of the healing process, is cutting off the fuel source for the emotion, if you like. There are lots of other things we do in mindfulness therapy. I won't describe them all now, but one other thing to consider and something that I will teach during these sessions is working with the imagery of the emotions particularly, but also thoughts as well. How you see the emotion in the mind, where you see it in the body, for example, is very, very important. This constitutes the structure of the emotion, and that is what actually causes that emotion to take form. So emotional imagery is critical, and we look very carefully at the emotional imagery of your emotions, how they actually work. When you are able to see this imagery, you can change it. In the same way, you can break the habit that produces that emotional imagery. You can look at the imagery and begin to change it into a form that neutralizes that emotion, that helps it heal. And remember, healing is the primary objective in mindfulness therapy. So we work a lot with imagery, and this is very, very effective indeed, especially with traumatic memories. When you change the imagery of a traumatic memory, you change the emotional intensity of that memory. When you change the imagery sufficient, the memory is no longer traumatic and is no longer able to generate trauma. So if you'd like to learn more about how to work with your emotions, how to work with emotions using mindfulness-based methods and techniques, then do please contact me and we can schedule a session. This approach is very, very effective. It's very direct, it's very focused. It's quite different than conventional counseling. It's really looking at the mechanism that generates your emotional suffering and then changing it. If you'd like to learn more, please contact me. Thank you.